Back live tonight, here on In Focus, former Ekurhuleni Finance MMC Nkululeko Dunga says 2 billion rand disappeared from the municipality's budget in the first quarter. He made the remarks on social media platform X on the 23rd of October. It comes as the metro struggles with delayed and non-payment of SMEs. Ekurhuleni's Finance MMC Jongizizwe Dlabathi joins us now for an update on that. MMC, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. First and foremost, let's start with what your predecessor is saying. Your predecessor is accusing the metro of failing, firstly, to collect what otherwise would have been the amount budgeted for. He says 18.3 billion would have been budgeted for this first quarter, but income was only 16.2 billion rands. Revenue was lost in electricity. So you are faced, at least in this quarter one, with an unfunded budget. How true is that claim?
Yeah, firstly, thank you for the opportunity. And I must say that, sometimes politicians must really move away from sensationalism in that they make a posture that says the 2 billion disappeared. No, it's factually incorrect. As you may appreciate, Prati, is that we obviously budget for each and every quarter, and the budgets are a projection. So we would have projected to collect about 9 billion on electricity, and the actual collection is actually 6.9 billion. But if you look at our own electricity purchases, we would have spent about 6.6 billion. So the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes we budget and under collect. But what should comfort us is that what we have purchased and what we have actually collected, there is no concerning variance. So it's a question of the budget versus the actual. Now, we then had to commission a quick administrative investigation just to say what led to us not collecting at the same rate. So we did pick up that one of the issues is around the use of interim billing, which resulted into under collection in what we call the AMR meters, right? Those are automatic reading meters. There are about 1,904 of them, which resulted into under billing of about 430 million. So the question is that, what then do we do to recover the money? So there will be a back billing that will be undertaken along with the fixing of those particular meters so that we are in a position to bill them accurately. Right. Secondly, there are some gaps in our billing, and this is not a new thing. It has been happening even before I took over the portfolio, where there is a lot of interim billing on both our normal household and in some of our large power users. So that gap in the billing, it's more of inaccurate billing, where we are saying about 583 million also needs to be back billed, but there's going to be weekly meter audit as well as improving the integrity of our metering. I'm raising this practice because the report tells us that as opposed to 95% of metering across, we are sitting at about 73%. So we just need to close that gap. But also there's other factors, for instance, of illegal connection, where our estimation is that at the level of normal household, there's about 100 million that we are losing on illegal connection. A normal household, including some of our informal settlements. And we continue to embark on our credit control outreach program, where we disconnect and we remove illegal connections. So I can assure the citizens of Ekurhuleni that we are in a position to point to the areas where there would have been some weaknesses. And as I said, it's largely interim billing and the gap both on the household as well as some of the large users on billing.
You would have pointed out, of course, that the households themselves would be owing somewhere in the 22 billion as far as electricity is concerned. How is the debt write-off plan going to affect that aspect of things? And maybe is it also playing some kind of role in this electricity revenue loss that we are talking about in the quarter one?
Yeah, so just a correction, it's not 22 billion of electricity. So it's 22 billion of different components of the trade services. So it's electricity, it's water, it's sanitation, it's waste collection, and to some extent, it's property rates. So it's a different categories. And that is why, Prati, one of the things that I have actually undertaken immediately as the new MMC, because the culture of payment in the city of Ekurhuleni has been neglected. So there is an ongoing campaign to actually propel our users of services to appreciate the importance of paying for services. And the message is beginning to find traction. But of course, to change the culture, it will take some time. Secondly, we would have passed a debt rehabilitation and incentive scheme. And it addresses two objectives. One is to give a relief on the huge debt. Not that we are promoting the culture of non-payment, but the economic reality propels us to give a relief. But the second component is that it allows us an opportunity to then agree with the users who are owing us to enter into a 36 months payment arrangement. That, in our view, it secures the payment commitment. Thirdly, we are taking a revenue enhancement implementation plan, something that was not there even before I took over the portfolio, because we had to put the strategy that council accepted, but council said to us, bring the implementation strategy so that you demonstrate over and above collecting on water, electricity, and waste. What are the other new revenue streams that you must collect on? So we are presenting that plan to council on this Thursday, and we are hopeful that once council approves that plan, the administration will then have to start in earnest to implement this plan so that we are able to generate money from other streams. We are projecting at least between 4 to 5 billion. That must come from the other streams of revenue without necessarily compromising the primary message that says that Ekurhuleni consumers must make a contribution and pay for the services that they use. For if they don't do so, they put us at a risk of liquidity, and they may compromise our ability to provide services in a much sustainable manner. So there are initiatives that we have clarified, and not only to clarify them, but to begin to implement those initiatives with a view to improve the revenue collection in the city.
Now, earlier in the month, you would have had some SMMEs and stakeholders in a meeting, and you yourself would have admitted that, look, we have backlogs when it comes to the payment of contracts. EFF raising the fact that some contracts have not been paid in 3 months. You say you would have come up with a plan of 500 million to help clear this backlog. Where is that 500 million going to come from, and has it been achieved?
Yeah, so the 500 million will come from our optimal collection on the revenue. That is why we are aggressive on the credit control. That is why we intensify the message that people must pay for services so that we are able to reinvest back into what they are getting. In fact, the people that we are owing, Prati, are people that are involved in the value chain of providing the same basic and essential services that our household must actually benefit from. So our optimization on collection will enable us to actually then ring fence that 500 million so that we clear off the current obligation that we are having. We are owing not more than 1.4 billion of the creditors, and this has been an accumulated outstanding amount of creditors, even dating before I took over the portfolio. So it's not something new. And I can tell you that at least there is now confidence, especially among small businesses, that the city of Ekurhuleni will be making part payment. My view, and it's something that I've articulated to the department, is that with the little amount of money that we have, let's avoid this thing of taking a huge sum of money and pay one or two companies. Let's use that amount of money to spread the payment along many of our creditors that we are owing, in particular small and medium businesses, so that progressively they are able to see that which we are owing them, it's getting reduced. So We also made a call to them that they must become the ambassadors of our message that says people must really contribute and pay for services. For we know that the more revenue we collect, the better for us to even address their outstanding creditors.
MMC, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on this evening. That's the MMC for Finance in Ekurhuleni, Jongizizwe Dlabathi.